Hello, my name is Emily, and this week, we are on a time crunch. So I have been procrastinating. I typically read about 100 pages a day. Now that could look like reading 150 pages one day and only 25 the next and 75 another day. But over the week, it usually averages out to about 100 pages a day. This week, I have a much bigger challenge. It's been 2 days in this week and I have not made the progress that I need to. I have 2 books that I need to read in the next couple of days, and both the books added together is almost 1,000 pages. I have started on one of them, thank goodness, because I need them all finished before the 16th. The first book that I need to read is The Dark Forest. This is the second book to the 3-Body Problem. Now, I've mentioned already a couple times this month, but the Netflix series for the 3-Body Problem came out. But I got to episode 6, and that was the end of the first book. So the next 3 episodes are actually on book 2. So I need to finish this book before continuing. Yes, my boyfriend's already read it. He finished it last week. So in order to continue watching that, which the show's been pretty good, I've been enjoying that. So in order to finish that and get him to stop bugging me, I need to read this book. This book is 512 pages. Now, I have read currently up to page 218, so that's great. I started this 2 days ago. On Wednesday, I read up to page 60. And yesterday, Thursday, I read up to page 186, which is the beginning of part 2. And so this morning, I read up to page 218. Now, we'll get into how many pages I need to read to finish on time, because our next book that I need to finish reading is The Women by Kristin Hannah. This is my friend's book club pick of the month, and our book club is not this Sunday, but next Sunday, the 21st. And you may be thinking, Emily, you've got plenty of time. What are you talking about? Well, my friends are coming into Boston. They're coming to visit on the 16th. So I'm going to want to be spending time with them rather than rushing to finish this book. And they've all read it, so they're all going to want to talk about it, I'm sure. So I don't want the pressure of having not read this book and having to finish it while hanging out with my friends. That's just not what I want to do. So this needs to be finished before 5 o'clock on Tuesday so I can go pick up my friend from the airport. Now, I haven't read any of The Women, so we have the full 464 pages to read. The Dark Forest, it's 512 pages. I'm not going to count the pages I read today because I wanted to count towards my progress for today. So we're going to subtract 186 pages from that. So we have a total of 970 pages to read in the next however many days. We got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So we got 5 days, really 4.5. But we'll put as 5. So 790 divided by 5 is 158 pages a day. So I have to read 158 pages every single day for the next 5 days to finish these books. That's like a whole challenge people do on their own. I'm a slow reader. I'm not the fastest reader, so that is going to take a while, especially because this book it takes a while to get through. Thankfully, it is an audiobook on Spotify that's free, but the audiobook is 22 hours. You only get 15 hours of free time, so I'm going to have to actually read a good portion of it. But I need to finish this book by tomorrow if I want any chance of being able to finish The Women by Tuesday. Alright, so because I have read a bit of The Dark Forest, I'll tell you what it's about. Now, if you read the first book, you know a little bit about bugs, and the prologue in this is all told in the perspective of an ant. And I think that's so clever and interesting and fun. It goes on from there. There's not too many characters in this book, in the second book, that overlap with the first book, which I thought was quite interesting. Without giving too much away, basically the whole first book is figuring out what's going on with physics. Physics isn't cooperating correctly. It seems like science has been broken, and there's this weird video going around that a bunch of highly intelligent scientists are getting involved in, and scientists are dying, and people are trying to figure out what the heck is going on. By the end of the book, they do figure out what's going on. So the second book is really about, okay, how are we going to address what's going on? But especially in the beginning, we're jumping around to a bunch of different perspectives and it's kind of confusing. But once you get into the flow, is quite interesting. This book, for whatever reason, I'm finding it a bit easier to understand. There's definitely still that over explaining on the physics aspects, and I can kind of skim through it, but for whatever, I think because I kind of know what's already going on, it's an easier read, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm liking it more than the first one. All right, I'm going to get to reading. I need to do my nails, so I may do that while listening to the audio book a bit, see if I'm able to keep up with what's going on just via audio. Because this book is a little complicated, I've been listening to the audiobook while following along in the physical book. So we'll see if just the audio works now that I know what's going on, or if I still get lost. We'll see if I can read almost 160 pages a day for 5 days straight. That sounds exhausting, but I'm up for the challenge, I think. All right, wish me luck, and I'm gonna get back into reading. Okay, one of the other things I need to get done before my friends get here on Tuesday is my nails. Last night I took off my old set and prepped them. I just finished shaping them, and so now I can finally start putting the colors on. I've been listening to The Dark Forest while shaping and kind of setting things up, and I am now on page 244, so we're making some good progress. We have a total of 58 pages read between this morning and just now, so still a lot to read, 100 pages exactly. Just as I started like painting and getting into the design, I am now totally losing, like not being able to keep track of what's going on. Like the book's getting more complicated and I'm focusing more on like what I'm doing rather than just like mindlessly filing my nails. So I think I'm gonna take a break, get more of a game plan on my nails, and maybe just get a brain break. Yeah, so far so good. The book is definitely, it's going in the direction I thought it was gonna go. When I was trying to find my spot in the physical book based on how much I'd listened to, I think I saw a pretty big spoiler. Coming up in less than 30 pages though, so not too bad, but I was like, oh dang, whoops. The good thing is I think I've made enough progress to probably watch the next episode in the show, so we might be watching that tonight when my boyfriend gets home. We'll have to see, and maybe I'll be watching that while I finish up my nails. It's the next day. I read a little bit last night, definitely not enough, and I've read quite a bit this morning. I'm at page 354, which if you can remember, that's what I was pretty much supposed to get to last night. So quite behind, but I've read, I think I got to 175 last night, so I've read quite a bit this morning. We're on a good roll. I was listening to it while I was getting ready, and I was reading it when I first woke up, but now it's Saturday. We're actually supposed to get some sun today, so about to head out and go do some fun things outside, probably hit up a brewery or something. An update on The Dark Forest. It's getting really interesting. We had a good big time jump, so it's been fun to see the future, but things are going weird, like assassination attempts. It's been really good, but I do think part of the reason I'm enjoying this so much is because my boyfriend's read it, so I'm able to be like, oh my gosh, this just happened. We're like discuss things. So I'm not sure how much I would really love reading it if I was just reading it by myself. It's not necessarily something I would have picked up on my own, but I think that's great to expand horizons and that kind of thing. There's still quite a bit of physics, but it's not as, at least it feels more digestible to me now. I don't know if that's just because I'm getting used to this style of writing. Less complicated physics that I'm reading now. I'm not sure. But so far so good. We also watched some of the Netflix series last night because I had gotten a good chunk of the way through the book. And it's totally different. Like it's not following the book at all. You probably don't need to actually read. I mean, wait till I actually finish the series, but it kind of doesn't follow the book at all so far. Yeah, so far so good. Hopefully I can get a good chunk read tonight. I need to finish the book pretty much today to stay on track, and to, you know, not have I mean, I feel like I already have an unreasonable amount to read today. All right, I'm gonna head out and I will keep you updated. Hopefully I get some time to read tonight.
What?
I showed the whole droplet part.
Right? Crazy.
What the fuck?
I literally just turned around and I was like, I wonder if she's reading it right now.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was insane. Except the worst part was...
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Except I think it's interesting because this was written in like 2012, right? Or like 2014. So AI wasn't a big thing. And
Yeah, that part blew my mind.
That's insane. Because also when they're talking about the robots and how like the servers, they move in like the same path.
Right.
But we would have the technology to make that work. Like actually have an AI server. So I wonder if like the Netflix series, like how they're gonna handle that. If they're gonna make their future more like with the AI integrated. I don't know. This is crazy. Hello! Okay, it's been a while since I last updated you on the reading, but I had a great weekend. It was really nice. I'm sitting on the ground because I feel like I've been walking all weekend and I need to give my feet a break. Today was the Boston Marathon, also known as Patriots Day here. A lot of companies get the day off and it was absolutely stunning. It almost got to 70 degrees and it was sunny all day. So me and some friends were out grabbing drinks and watching the race, cheering everyone on. And we walked all across Boston to see all the different parts and it was great. Yesterday, I don't think I picked up the camera at all yesterday, but it was also really lovely. Pretty nice out, so we were just, me and my boyfriend were walking around downtown, got some breakfast, saw the trees bloom some more. We ended up in Porter Square and stopped at a bookstore, met up with a friend, and then me and some girlfriends spent the evening at the Isabella Gardner Museum, which is a really unique and fun museum if you're ever in Boston. I highly recommend it. It was so fun. They had a special exhibit where they have these orange draping flowers hanging from the windows. So not too much reading has been done, but I have finished The Dark Forest. I'm thinking we do a quick recap of everything I've read and everything that I have to read. It's 5:30 p.m. so we have less than 24 hours on the timer here. And these are all kind of from memory, so I'm hoping I think these are pretty accurate. On Wednesday, I read 60 pages of The Dark Forest and got to page 60. On Thursday, I got to page 186. Friday, I got to page 305. And Saturday, I finished the 512 page book at like midnight 30. I think that was the one and only time where I was ahead / on schedule. Because then on Sunday, yesterday, I read the first 103 pages of The Women. I have the dust cover taken off, so I read the first 100 pages of this, and currently, today, I am on page 140. And I think I needed to get to page 144 yesterday to be on track with reading 158 pages a day. So behind, have a lot. I think I need to get to page 302 tonight to be on track and only have 158 pages to read tomorrow, but I only have until 5 p.m., even earlier than that because I gotta go pick up my friend, so probably only until 4:30 tomorrow. And I usually start reading my big chunk at like 6 or 8, kind of around then for night. So we've got our work cut out for us. I don't know if we're gonna have this all finished on time, but I will do my darndest. Go into my thoughts of these books. Let's start with The Dark Forest since I finished that one up. This was really great. I think it was much better than the first one in terms of, yes, there were a lot of physics things explained very deeply, but it wasn't as complex. It was easier to follow than the first one, and it made more sense to the plot. The plot was really intriguing, lots of really interesting aspects and thought points. I'm super curious to see what where the third book is gonna go, because it kind of leaves us off in an interesting place. There were a lot more plot twists in this one, or at least like plot twists that weren't as predictable and much more interesting. I guess throughout the whole series there are plot twists, but I really enjoyed the ones in this one. I didn't see them come in, and I think they really added a lot. Yeah, I'm not totally sure what else to say about it without giving spoilers, but I did give this a 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. The Women, this book is about a young woman from the United States who is training to be a nurse. She's gone through a very prestigious nurse school. She comes from a very affluent background, and her brother goes to the Vietnam War, and her whole family is very into war heroes, and everyone has got, all of the men have been part of a war of some sort, and they're very proud of this. So she gets the idea of, oh, well, I want to make my family proud as well. I'm going to go join the war effort as a nurse. She just graduated college, so she just gets thrown in the army to be a nurse in Vietnam, and is just kind of thrown in there, and you get to see what that's like. And while it is gruesome, I have been loving the imagery. You really feel like you're there, and you're just getting thrown in there with her. The female friendships that are made are immaculate. Getting to see kind of the behind the scenes of the war in terms of the medical centers is really interesting. The only thing that's been kind of rubbing me the wrong way so far is the romance. It felt very forced, and I think there was a way to do it where it built up more and like it had more subtlety to it, and it was more of a build-up. How it worked, just like it was just kind of mentioned every once in a while, like it was thrown in as an afterthought, and it just it didn't feel very emotional at all. It just very much felt like, oh well, you're here, so I'm excited to keep reading. I think that I'm intrigued to see where it will go, because I'm not sure how it can get more intense than this. I'm sure it will. It's the Vietnam War. All right, well, I need to get to reading, because clearly I have a lot more that I need to get done. We'll see if I update you tonight. I may just fall asleep because I am so tired, but I will definitely, hopefully, update you tomorrow. Hopefully, ideally, with a finished book and final thoughts. If not, maybe some shots of me reading in the car frantically while my boyfriend drives to pick my friend up from the airport. And then I'm not sure how much reading I would get done at night. We're going to grab dinner with another friend and probably just gab and catch up for the rest of the night, which I am so excited about. I'm so excited to see my friends. So until next time. All right, so I did film an outro for this and all of my thoughts, but I filmed it in slow motion, and now I see how easy it is to do that, and I have a whole new learning experience. But here to tell you that I finished The Women. I did finish it late. I finished it on the 17th. Can't remember what the exact day, but I know I finished it 2 days late technically. It worked out because I was able to power through before we had our book club, and we ended up doing our book club at an afternoon tea. In the main Boston Central Library, they have a tea house or a little tea cafe where you can go and have afternoon tea and little bites that are so cute, and the tea was delicious. It was just a lovely, we felt very cute having our book club this month. So my overall thoughts on The Women, I think it did things really well, and then I think it did other things so poorly that it brought it down, which is crazy to say because I know how beloved this book is on Goodreads. It has a super high rating by a ton of different people, but yeah, it just kind of fell flat for me. I will say before we get into all of that, This book did an amazing job in terms of topic. It was really interesting to read a war story that wasn't about World War I or World War II. And it had a really great PTSD representation, especially from like a woman and a nurse. Getting that background view, kind of nurses in war was super interesting, and then her coming back and seeing how she struggles, especially being a woman. People aren't taking her seriously, like, what do you mean you weren't in combat? And just having to deal with all of that. The female friendships, immaculate. I loved that, how they supported each other, how they were there for each other no matter what, from in war, and if things are flying at you, all the way to like at home. They would drop everything to take care of their girlfriends, and I just absolutely loved that. What brought it down was the relationships with the men. Like, you get this story of these real historical fiction, so based on real events, and it's so mind-blowing and cruel and really has an impact because of the true value there. But then on the other hand, you get these ridiculous love stories that, one, it's just she's fallen in love because they're there. It's out of convenience. And two, like, if you read it, you know, it's just like the things that happen are absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's no way. And for it to happen twice, if you know, you know. But especially like those last 10 pages, usually if I'm reading a book, and how I was feeling with this one, I was like, okay, it's like a 3.5, probably leaning towards a 4. And I was expecting the last couple of pages to really bring me into a 4. I feel like books really usually end on a high note, but it ended on such a, like, left such a bad taste in my mouth, especially those like last 10 pages, that it definitely leans more towards a 3 for sure. I think I would overall give it a 3.5, but more towards a 3 than a 4, which is crazy. I was not thinking that's what I would rate this book. I really thought this was going to be an easy 4 or 5 star. That was a bit disappointing, but I'm glad I read it. I'm getting more into historical fiction, and I think that it's a great way to learn more about what actually has happened in the world. I definitely fall into the reading romance and fantasy and, like, you know, heads in the clouds. So this is like a good actual story that has some grip in reality, if that makes sense. So I enjoy reading those. So those are my thoughts. I won't recap the Dark Forest because I know I recapped that earlier. Yeah, so I will just leave you with that. I did fail reading 1,000 pages in a week, but that would have been so hard for me. It was so hard for me. So I don't feel bad about it. I did end up getting the book finished by the time we had book club, and that wasn't a problem. And that's really what matters. That was really the time crunch. I'd be curious if I had like an actual time crunch, because I do think in the back of my head I was like, it'll be fine. We'll still get things done when we need to. I will leave you with that, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.